You just flipped a light switch and nothing happened. Your phone is dead and it won't charge. The internet is gone. This isn't a power outage. This is the week the world's iron decided to quit its second job. For a substance that makes up a third of our planet's mass, iron is remarkably humble. It holds up our buildings, carries oxygen in our blood, and stars in the occasional blacksmithing montage. But its most important role, the one that quietly powers our entire civilization, is its unique talent for magnetism. See, iron atoms are like tiny, compulsively organized employees. When a magnetic field comes along and says, "All right, everyone, face north," they all snap to attention, their magnetic fields aligning perfectly. This creates a much stronger, concentrated field. It's this principle of electromagnetism, wrapping a copper wire around an iron core and running a current through it. That underpins, well, everything. Generators, motors, speakers, hard drives, transformers. Our world doesn't run on oil or data, it runs on the cooperative spirit of iron atoms. So let's play a game. For exactly 1 week starting now, iron loses this ability. Every iron atom on Earth collectively decides to become a conscientious objector in the war against entropy. They will no longer align. They will no longer amplify a magnetic field. What happens next? The first millisecond. It begins with a great cosmic silence. In every power station on the planet, massive generators are spinning. Each one is essentially a turbine, rotating gigantic coils of copper wire within an intensely powerful magnetic field, a field made possible by enormous iron cores. The spinning copper agitates the electrons, pushing them down the wire. That's electricity. But now, in a single instant, the iron cores inside those generators just become inert lumps of metal. The magnetic fields they were amplifying collapse by over 99%. The agitation of electrons ceases. The flow of current to the global grid stops not with a bang, but with a sudden, perfect absence. The output of humanity's entire power-generating capacity, trillions of watts, drops to zero. Alara, a data analyst on the 37th floor of a skyscraper, doesn't notice the millisecond. She's staring at a cascading wall of code across her 3 monitors, the low hum of the server racks in the next room a familiar office lullaby. The first second, the lights go out. Ilara's 3 monitors blink off simultaneously. And then she hears it. The silence. The ever-present hum of the building's climate control. The buzz of fluorescent lights. The whirring fans of 1,000 computers. All gone. It's a silence so deep it feels loud. Humanity lost 3 things in that first second: its power, its momentum, and its collective mind when it realized every single cat video on the internet was suddenly inaccessible. Every electric motor on Earth, which operates on the exact same principle as a generator but in reverse, has just stopped dead. An electric motor uses electromagnetism to turn electricity into motion. Without magnetizable iron, the motor has no force. On the street 37 floors below Alara, every electric and hybrid car glides to a silent halt. In the city's arteries, subway trains coast to a stop in dark tunnels. Elevators freeze between floors. But the biggest problem is water. Every municipal water system relies on colossal electric pumps to move water from reservoirs to taps. Those pumps are now silent. The water pressure in the pipes of every city on Earth begins to drop. The first minute, a strange clattering sound echoes through kitchens worldwide. It's the sound of every refrigerator magnet, every grocery list, every piece of macaroni art held aloft by a smiling cartoon sun, falling to the floor. A minor, almost comical consequence, yet a perfect metaphor. The forces that held our world together have let go. Alara, sitting in the dark, reaches for her phone. The screen is black. She holds the power button. Nothing. The battery is full, but the tiny vibrating motor inside can't work. The speakers, which use electromagnets to create sound, are useless. The device is a brick. The most profound change, however, is one we thankfully can't feel directly. Many people's first panicked thought might be the Earth's magnetic field. It's generated by the churning liquid iron in the outer core, right? Are we now defenseless against a solar wind that wants to give us a planet-wide Chernobyl makeover? Well, here we get a lucky break. The Earth's core is a dynamo. It generates the magnetic field through the motion of conductive liquid iron, not because the iron itself is permanently magnetized like a bar magnet. Our bizarre little iron amnesia plague only affects iron's ability to become magnetized. The planet's shield holds. Planetary geologists, assuming they aren't trapped in a dead elevator, would breathe a sigh of relief. The rest of us are too busy dealing with more immediate problems. The first hour, Alara realizes she has to get out of the building. With the elevators dead, there's only one option. Great, she mutters into the darkness. Now I have to take the stairs, all 37 flights. She joins a small, unnerved trickle of coworkers making their way down the emergency stairwell, their phone flashlights conspicuously absent. The world has been plunged into a state of profound, unprecedented quiet. No traffic hum, no distant sirens, no music bleeding from headphones, just footsteps and nervous breathing. When she finally emerges onto the street, the scene is one of utter stillness. Cars are parked haphazardly where they coasted to a stop. Traffic lights are dark. A growing river of people is flooding out of the silent office towers, a confused, disconnected mass. There are no news reports, no social media updates, no way to call anyone. For the first time in a century, a major city is truly, utterly offline. The global economy, an intricate and delicate machine built on the instantaneous flow of electrons, has just experienced what a systems administrator would technically call a non-recoverable error. All financial markets are frozen. All credit card transactions have stopped. The entire digital architecture of modern finance is gone, locked away inside hard drives that can no longer spin. Day 1. The sun rises on a world that has been forcibly returned to the 18th century, but with 8 billion people, most of whom don't know how to churn butter. The immediate crisis is water. In cities, it's gone. With no electricity for the pumps, the taps are dry. The bottled water in stores vanishes within hours. Sanitation systems, which also rely on electric pumps, begin to fail. The second crisis is food. The global food supply chain is a miracle of just-in-time delivery, all coordinated digitally and transported by systems that rely on electric components. That chain is broken. Worse, every refrigerator and freezer in the world is now just a well-insulated box slowly warming up. The collective spoilage of humanity's perishable food has begun. Alara is back in her apartment. She made it home. The 37-flight climb was, to put it mildly, cardio. Her fridge is a ticking time bomb of expiring yogurt. She has a few liters of bottled water she grabbed from the office kitchen, but she knows it's not enough. She looks out her window at the city. As dusk falls, the only lights are the flickers of desperate, hastily made fires in parks and on rooftops. There are no planes in the sky. All modern aircraft are fundamentally dependent on electrical generation for their navigation, controls, and instruments. Any plane that was in the air when the event happened had, at best, a few hours on its battery-powered backup systems before becoming a very sophisticated glider. The results were not pretty. Day 3. Society is fracturing. Without communication, there is no large-scale organization. Governments can't govern. They can't broadcast messages, coordinate relief, or deploy resources. Their vehicles won't start. Their radios are silent. Any vehicle with a modern electronic ignition system which uses electromagnetic principles is useless. That includes basically every car, truck, and generator made in the last 40 years. A few very old diesel engines, the kind that rely purely on mechanical compression, might still work. A handful of classic car enthusiasts suddenly find themselves possessing the most advanced transportation on the planet. For Alara, the reality has become simple and brutal. Life has shrunk to the radius of how far she can walk, and its primary purpose is finding water. The social cohesion of the first day has given way to a tense, wary desperation. The strong are taking from the weak. She has barricaded her apartment door, rationing the last of her non-perishable food. The silence has been replaced by shouting, and occasionally screaming. The greatest irony is the sheer amount of useless knowledge we possess. We have the blueprints for generators, the understanding of physics, the chemical formulas for medicines, but we can't act on any of it. To rebuild, you need tools, and our power tools, our drills, lathes, and welders are all silent. To make new iron that works, you need to mine it, transport it, and smelt it. All processes that require a level of power and mechanization that has vanished. We are geniuses trapped in a technological dark age of our own making. Day 7, the final day. The world is a patchwork of small, isolated communities struggling to survive. Large cities have become death traps, monuments to a forgotten age of power. People are migrating on foot, trying to get to sources of fresh water, rivers, lakes. Agriculture has collapsed. Without electric pumps for irrigation, vast swathes of farmland are turning to dust. Humanity has undergone the fastest, most brutal deindustrialization imaginable. Billions are facing starvation and disease. Ilara has banded together with a few of her neighbors. They managed to break into the building's massive rooftop water tank, securing a temporary but vital resource. They are survivors for now. They've watched the great silent city below them begin to decay. But a question hangs in the air, a sliver of hope or perhaps ultimate despair. What happens when the week is over? The first second of week 2. And then it's back. In some dusty corner of the universe, the cosmic rulebook is amended. Iron atoms remember their old job. They are, once again, willing to get in line. In that instant, a few things happen. A wind turbine, still turning in a forgotten field, suddenly has its electromagnet re-engage. It sends a surge of power down a dead line, a surge that goes nowhere and quickly fries its own transformer. In a hydroelectric dam, water still flows through the turbines. When their generators roar back to life, they send a colossal, unmanaged blast of electricity into a grid that isn't ready for it. The result is a cascading failure of epic proportions. Substations explode, wires melt. The entire system, which requires careful, balanced synchronization to function, tears itself apart. For Ilara, the return is marked by a single, startling event. The emergency lights in her stairwell, running on a battery backup that was offline but still charged, flicker on. For a moment, there is a collective gasp of hope from her small group. But it's a false dawn. The grid is gone, not just off, but physically broken. The infrastructure is shattered. Even with magnetism back, we are centuries away from rebuilding what we lost in a second. We have the knowledge, but we've lost the tools we need to make the tools. Our one-week journey into the magnetic dark reveals a humbling truth. We see ourselves as masters of silicon, of data, of complex software. But all of it, our entire gleaming, digital electrified world, is built on a foundation far simpler. It is built not on human ingenuity alone, but on a peculiar quantum mechanical handshake between spinning electrons in a lump of common metal. For 7 days, we were reminded that our civilization is a spectacular balancing act, performed on a wire woven from an invisible force. And for a week, that handshake was refused.